everybody. Hello, you Ferg Nerg Snurgleberts. I'm Viva Reverie, and you're watching Vivcast. Hooray! That's my way to introduce you to the part of the Vivcast where I say that I'm Viva Reverie, but separate it from the part where I say hello everybody, because that's something I'm horrible at. I just made up gibberish. I mean, that didn't really help at all, but I guess it kind of worked. Maybe I should just say gibberish from now on. I don't know. That's probably not a good idea. I shouldn't do that. Why would I think that's a good idea? Whatever. Okay, so today's... I need to remember. This is Vivcast Red. Every time. I need to say Vivcast Red every time, otherwise I have to edit it without me ever acknowledging it, and that'd be weird, and I don't like that. So this is Vivcast Red. Vivcast Red because I'm talking about a pony episode. If this is your first time coming in or something, I don't know. This could be people's first episode. Any episode could be people's first episode. You never know. So I have to make sure to include everybody in the group, and don't just say like everybody knows what's going on every time. With that being said, I have formalities to go through, but this time it's going to be super short formalities, and you know why? Because formalities have been too long, and it's been bugging me, and there was one person who commented about it saying formalities are too long, and I kind of agree. Or not formalities in particular, he just said I ramble too much. That's a completely different topic entirely, but I think the formalities last too long, so I'm going to try and do them in dot point form. First of all, oh shoot, shitty shats. I forgot. One of the things I wanted to do was look through the polls. I have two polls which I need to acknowledge. I have the poll for last Vivcast Red episode, and also the poll for the Guitar Hero episode, which is 2 Vivcast episodes ago, because I had a poll at the end of those. So then... Oh, shut up, me. I don't want my audio going through and then back into the microphone in case you heard that. Anyway, so then, first of all, I'm going to acknowledge the Guitar Hero poll. It was, dost thou likest rhythm games? The answers were yay and nay, and I want to, but I'm bad at them. The majority said yay, so hey, but to be fair, it's probably a bad place to ask that question, because the only people who got to the end of that were the people who wanted to listen to me talk about Guitar Hero for centuries, so chances are there's a bit of bias in the votes. And second place was I want to, but I'm bad at them. So only a small percentage, and by small I mean 16%, only that many people who voted said nay. Second poll was for last Vivcast Red, which was, is Trixie diddly? Which was essentially, do you want to see Trixie in later episodes? An overwhelming majority on yes, but not too much Trixie, please. Second place was Trixie 5 ever. So hey. Third place was I am indifferent, and fourth place at 1% is no, she should leave forever. So there you go. People like Trixie and want to see more of her, but not too much more of her, which is fair enough. And the such. Maybe I shouldn't have put that at the top of the poll answers. I shouldn't have put the potentially popular answer at the top. That might have skewed the results a bit, because it's the first one you read and you're like, oh, I agree with that. And then you read through every other one, it's like, I don't really agree with that. I don't really agree with that. I don't really agree with that. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really put it in good order. Anyway, that's the poll. Next, I am going to move to next formality. Next formality I wanted to talk about is, right. I wanted to talk about Patreon, or I wanted to say, I updated Patreon slightly. There's a couple of lines I added to a couple of the pledge thingies. Also, I have a Patreon, in case you don't know. It's a charge per animation thing. I changed it to animation recently. It used to say video, it used to say I charge per video, but now I do Vivcast, so that's not true at all. I only charge per animation, which is basically once per month, and I want to update that further. I just don't know, like, first of all, I don't know when that'll be. It'll definitely be after I'm done with university and stuff, and university related stuffings, and yeah, there's things I want to revamp, and change it around as just, like, I don't know. It's something I'll talk about at a later date. And the last formality is Guitar Hero. We're talking about Guitar Hero again. Why? Because I streamed a bit of Guitar Hero on my Twitch channel. It was very spontaneous, and the only places I said that I was streaming during the time that I streamed was on my Twitter and my Tumblr, and I think we got a maximum of 8 people in the stream. So thank you people who came into the stream. If you want to see me play Guitar Hero and try to beat the hard songs, then you can totally follow me on Twitch, or maybe just Twitter, because I do tweet when I'm streaming, and the such. So if you want to be all updated in that sort of sense, if you want to see me play video games, I don't know. If you don't want to, then you don't have to, but it would totally be cool to have people come watch me play the video games when I play the video games. Okay, formality's over. That was supposed to be dot point format. Oh man, these Vivcast episodes, they're too long. They are too long, and I need to figure out a way to make them shorter. I'm thinking I might edit them down the line. Not now. I've still got university going, so I don't really have the time. Hence, why this is another late episode of Vivcast, by the way. But I'm thinking I might edit them later down the line, just a bit, to make it like less informal, I guess. I don't know. We'll see how it is. Let's talk about the episode. So, today's episode, and by today's episode, I mean this week's episode, and by this week's episode, I mean the episode that aired almost a week ago, Newbie Dash. So let's talk. First thing to talk about is the title of the episode, Newbie Dash. I want to mention that newbie as a word, like, every time I hear that, it's always coupled with the whole noob spectrum. You know, when you're playing old ass RuneScape or whatever, you do something dumb and then everybody calls you a noob or whatever. That's what I think when I hear newbie, and it's sort of gotten to the point where yeah, well, to be fair, newbie, like NEWBIE, is more of a... It's definitely more formal. Formal, that's not a good word for it. It's more formal than noob is, as in NOOB. But hey, it still carries that connotation for me, which makes it really weird whenever I see the word. And likewise, when people called this episode Newbie Dash, this was before I realized the name of the episode was Newbie Dash. It sort of stood out in my mind, and then I found out that was the actual name of the episode, and that was weird. That's right. Another thing, I didn't put this in my dot points, but a thing which I'd like to mention is I watched this episode live, which is the first episode I've watched live for, like, I'm pretty sure I haven't watched any episode live this entire season except for the premiere. Said premiere, like, I watched, for all the premieres and the finales, I watch it, like, live with friends or whatever, because it's a big deal. It's ponies, and so it's horses and the such. But yeah, I haven't had time to watch other episodes live. You know what? That's mostly the reason. Like, I totally would watch every episode live, but I didn't watch this one live. No, I did watch this one live, and I haven't been watching other episodes live. Why am I on this point for so long? That's right, I was talking about newbie, the word. Essentially, it just reminds me of RuneScape, that's all. That's all I wanted to say. It just reminds me of RuneScape. Oh, I could have an entirely different conversation relating on RuneScape, but I will not. That'll be a topic for another day. That'll be a topic for another Vivcast, potentially. A regular green Vivcast, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, the episode itself. We are 10 minutes into this Vivcast episode, and now we're actually talking about the bloody episode. So, it starts off, Rainbow Dash, who was in the Wonderbolt's reserves, finally became a Wonderbolt. Wow, it took 6 seasons. It's the exact same thing that happened with the CMC. It's like they finally got to the point where now they have reached their goal. So what now? They have more dilemmas. I guess that could be a moral in itself, where like, oh, people need to learn that even once you've reached the plateau, what you feel are going to be more problems. Like, oh, what is it? Like, oh, if you earn 75 grand a year, I think it's around that point, you stop being more happy the more money you get. That's where it plateaus. Like, you can't just... that's probably a completely different thing, actually. But there's definitely a comparison in my mind when I sort of thought, like, when you try and get to... Oh, you know what it is? It's totally when a person gets, like, super famous, they don't just suddenly become happy. Like, the fame has its own, like, weight. The fame has its own, like, sort of, I was just sort of thinking of, like, those cartoon 10-ton blocks, like, attached to people's legs as weight. That's a stupid analogy. But, essentially, like, when people like to become famous, but when people do become famous, they're not happy about it, and that's sort of the idea when that's why I'm making the comparison to Rainbow Dash finally being a Wonderbolt but still having problems, or the CMC finally getting their cutie marks but still having problems. It's a moral dilemma in and of itself. That being said, I do believe that getting to a point where like people appreciate you definitely like. That definitely makes you happy. Like, that's definitely something that's happened to me. That if we want to go into real talk territory, like having fans, having people watch me and watch my stuff is like crazy cool, and that definitely makes me happy and definitely like motivates me, makes me want to make more things. And it's definitely not a case of like of people of getting all this attention doesn't make me happy, because getting it sounds pretentious when I say that, but getting the attention does make me happy in the sort of sense that like I'm like sharing my creations, my silly creations. I'm making people laugh. I'm making people enjoy the things that I do, and that's totally why I make them, and that's pretty dang cool. Okay, real talk over. Yeah. What was I talking about? That's right. I was talking about moral dilemmas. Why did we get so real? Like, people didn't like this episode. That's a completely different, unrelated point. But, I'm pretty sure people didn't like this episode. Whoa, we just got an edit there. Why was there an edit there? It's because I was interrupted. And this is the first time I've been interrupted during a Vivcast. I lost my train of thought. That's right, we were talking about moral dilemmas, and then I ended my thoughts on moral dilemmas. And I guess let's move to the next dot point. Okay, where were we talking about? Oh, yes. Okay, next dot point is me. I wrote down lol reusing locations. I'm talking about Wonderbolt's Academy, I believe it was, which was the episode where Rainbow Dash, Lightning Dust was also there, and they were being the Wonderbolts, and then Lightning Dust is an asshole, or whatever. Is like the evil version of Rainbow Dash. And the entire set, quote unquote, the entire, like, set piece area is the exact same location. Like, obviously, no, you would think obviously it would be, but, like, in the Wonderbolts Academy episode, you had a bunch of, like, recruits or whatever there. But in this episode, you see no recruits, and it's all exclusively the actual Wonderbolts. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just a case of, like, oh, there's only a couple of days where all the recruits are there, but I feel like it would be a little suspicious literally only seeing Wonderbolts in this location, especially considering there's like less than 10 of them, like occupying this entire area. I don't know. That's just sort of a weird thought that I sort of had. There are only like 10 of them. Why? Why are there only 10 of them? Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how many Wonderbolts there are. There are not many. And yet they're a really, really big deal, and yet they're not that famous, but they kind of are, because, like, when Rainbow Dash is like, oh, I'm such a big fan, you don't have everybody going, oh, I'm such a big fan, you just have a selective few. So what's the deal with the Wonderbolts? Oh, no. Well, you know what, maybe they are famous, and we just don't see that in anybody except for Rainbow Dash. That's probably the case. They do stage shows. Whatever. Wow. Does any of that count as a tangent? I'm not sure if any of that counts as a tangent. Future me can totally decide if any of that counts as a tangent. But I was talking about Wonderbolts, and this is a Wonderbolt episode, so I wouldn't call that a tangent. I was just talking about the location, and then I sort of went in a tangent about the Wonderbolts. I don't know. It's all related. Screw it. I'm leaving it in. Right. Next dot point is psychological torment is hilarious. I say that because, of course, Rainbow Dash accidentally crashes or whatever, and then everybody says, more like Rainbow Crash, and then we immediately get a flashback of Rainbow Dash doing essentially the exact same thing, and then the like falling into the trash can was like, I suppose it was supposed to be sad, but I just sort of found it as like funny, silly coincidence level humor, where it's just like in the exact same situation. One time ages ago, Rainbow Dash fell into a trash can and was all like, whoops, and then somebody says, more like Rainbow Crash. I kind of find that hilarious. I kind of find that silly and hilarious. And, that's what I wanted to point out. I wanted to point out that psychological torment is hilarious in this case. And that's silly. I shouldn't find that funny, but I do. I find a lot of things funny. I find a lot of stupid things that I shouldn't find funny. Yes. Anyway, so next point I want to talk about is one line. This isn't a point. This is something that I'm alluding to. It's something that's important for later on, and that is when Rainbow Dash comes in after screwing up a lot of things in her stage show thingy. She comes along and is all like, she's feeling shitty, and then the whatever her name was says, tough day today, but don't worry, you'll get the hang of it. And that line is important, and I will get back to why that line is important later. You might know what I'm alluding to if you know this episode or something, or if you remember what happens during this episode, which you probably do. I don't know. Oh god. Oh Christ. The next scene, or one of the next scenes, Rainbow Dash goes back to her home, and then, surprise, everybody's here, all the main six and the CMC for some reason. And it's another case of, whoa, all of these characters are here, are doing their thing and doing, if you've watched Vivcasts, you know I have a pet peeve. The pet peeve being that characters should not be coming in just for the sake of, because the characters are in the show, like the main six in particular. It's like, Rarity's here. Why? Because the rest of the main six are here. Applejack's here. Why? Because the rest of the main six are here. Fluttershy, what are you doing? Because the rest of the main six is here. Christ. Well, to be fair, Fluttershy does have a bit of relation, because Fluttershy was back with Rainbow Dash way back when, in the flight school or whatever. That's something that that's sort of relevant, but I don't know. The point I'm making is that Rainbow Dash. It sounded like I said Rainbow Dash there. Anyway, Rainbow Dash does have relation to Fluttershy, but like she's the focus of the episode, and every other character is just sort of like there just for the sake of being there. No. That's right. I was saying that was a pet peeve, but in this episode, there's a reason for it, and it is the fucking funniest shit I've seen in so long. It was like, I was there during during a live stream. I say live stream because the show does not air down in Australia, so I have to watch a live stream. And the chat was just like, oh my god, so much cringe to this. And that was Rainbow Dash imitating all the other main 6 ponies, and it's kind of the best thing ever. I just could not stop laughing throughout the whole thing. And I'm pretty sure that was part of the point. The point was for you to laugh through it, but there were a lot of people who were cringy over it, and that's totally fair enough. The cringe is funny. It's the reason why I laugh is because the cringe is funny. It was so, oh my god, that was so good. because like, that is like, no, Rainbow Dash would never do that. So Rainbow Dash doing that is really funny. How many times am I going to say the same thing over and over again? There is one thing I want to point out about it. Just a funny little thing that I noted when watching the episode, and that was that the Rainbow Dash imitating Applejack is funny because Ashley Ball, the voice actor for both Rainbow Dash and Applejack, has to voice Rainbow Dash being Applejack, which, like, props to her because it worked. I can imagine it maybe it'll be a little difficult having a character try and be one character when you could already voice that character yourself. It's that would just get confusing. That just reminded me of a joke that I tell sometimes, and by joke I tell, I mean I told it twice, and it's because I find it really funny, and it's less of a joke and more of a thing that you when you're in a group of friends, you're sort of talking about things and talking about things that are funny, and then it's like a funny quip that doesn't really make any sense, but it's still freaking hilarious. Anyway, the point is that imagine Toad from the Mario series. Imagine Toad trying to do a Sean Connery impression. Like that. And then every time I think of it, I can just only think of him going, James Bond, or something like that. Oh, so it's just it's so silly. Oh, it's so silly. It's just dumb shit. It's just dumb shit. But that's essentially what the whole Rainbow Dash imitating Applejack thing reminded me of. Is one character imitating another. But the thing is that with Toad and Sean Connery as James Bond, like, did I say Sean Connery or did I say James Bond at first? Because it's supposed to be Sean Connery as James Bond. The point is that they do not match at all, like, in any way, and that's why it's so funny trying to voice it. You know what? That would be a good voice acting technique. That would be like, try and voice one character doing another character's voice, and then the two characters are just like, can we get like a website that's like mix and match two characters with preferably with very well defined and like knowable voices, or voices that people know in general, like Skeletor, like Skeletor is the only one that's coming to my mind right now. Just like voices that people recognize well, and then just like have the website like mix and match two of them, and then it says, all right, Skeletor trying to imitate Mario. There you go. That's all right. Let me try that right now. I don't know how to do that. I do not know. I do not know what I could do. I'm Skeletor, so therefore when I'm trying to do Mario, I do this. It's me, Mario! That sounds like fun. Somebody do that. Somebody needs to do that. Whatever. Anyway. The only thing I'm comparing that to now is that Pokemon mix match site where you could get two different Pokemon, like one Pokemon's face over another Pokemon's body, and then the name would be like a combination of those. Whatever. Okay. Now that was definitely a tangent. Wow, that was definitely a tangent. Let's move on. Okay, so things happen in the episode. That's right. Rainbow Dash is like, oh, I've got a plan to make myself really cool looking, and then accidentally screws everything up, and then the end of the episode happens. The end of the episode being, Spitfire comes along and is all like, no, Rainbow Dash first says, I don't deserve to be in the Wonderbolts. I'm horrible because I can't do anything, and you totally. And I totally deserve the name Rainbow Crash or whatever. And then Spitfire's just like, what are you talking about? You saved the Earth 50 times. Or Equestria, whatever. And you totally deserve a spot in the Wonderbolts. We were waiting for a spot to open up this whole time. And it's like, a little late for that. Like the rest of the episode, there are no allusions. There are no allusions to them actually like being super fans of Rainbow Dash like Rainbow Dash was for the Wonderbolts, except for one line, and this is why I mentioned that line, is when that one horse goes, tough day today, but don't worry, you'll get the hang of it, is the only point in which the Rainbow Crash thing is acknowledged as banter, as like one-on-one, oh, we're just being silly, you can totally, you totally don't need to like worry so much. It's like, it would probably be better if there were more allusions to that, and it was very obvious that Rainbow was like, that Rainbow just was misunderstanding the whole nickname thing, which is the whole point of the episode. That's why she overreacts, is because to everybody else, the nickname thing isn't that big of a deal. Like, if there was one time during the entire episode where another Wonderbolt calls another Wonderbolt by their nickname, which everybody reveals, and then maybe Rainbow Dash goes, huh? What was that? I didn't quite catch that. That was confusing. Did I hear that right? Like, that would work, because that shows that Rainbow Dash is just being an idiot. But the entirety of the episode, Rainbow Dash is being referred to as Rainbow Crash. And that's stupid, because if every other character has these nicknames, why is Rainbow Dash the only one being called out? Maybe it's... you know what? Maybe it's because Rainbow Dash is the only one screwing up, so she's the only one being called out likewise, or something like that. I don't know. It's too perfect, though. And if that were the case, that wasn't brought across in the writing or the storytelling or whatever. So that's just a thought that I had. The fact that, like, it's kind of messy in that regard. Like, the rest... Like, the episode... would be infinitely more horrible, or not infinitely, but it would be definitely worse if it weren't for that one horse saying, tough day today, but don't worry, we'll get the hang of it, because you know, Rainbow Dash had no chance of realizing it, otherwise. Like, the whole point is that Rainbow Dash is misinterpreting the facts, and therefore she overreacts and misunderstands, and if there were no chances for her to actually realize that it was her fault, then it would just be a dumb, badly written episode. Blah. Blah. Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk. Yeah, okay. Okay, talk about the episode is over, but I've got a new section of Vivcast. Very, very quick acknowledgements to a couple of people. This is a little weird, and I was thinking I could put these in the formalities, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to because I would just inflate the formalities more, and as I already stated, I wanted to make the formalities shorter, and obviously that didn't work. I'm definitely gonna have to plan this out in the future. But this is the comments section. I'm going to be talking about this. This section is dedicated to a couple of comments from last episode, which I want to acknowledge. So, first one I want to acknowledge is right. This is short. Don't worry, this is short. First of all, Emir O'Donovan says that they have a donkey. Hooves don't have fur. They're solid and most of the time black. And totally right. You are totally right. I googled image searched shortly afterwards, and yeah, I was wrong, and I don't know how hooves work. Apparently, this was last episode when I was talking about the drawing with yellow hooves. With Viva having yellow hooves. So yeah. Acknowledgements. Emma O'Donovan. Next is that's right. There were two people saying similar sort of things. Earthen Fist and Kyle Christensen. Let me just double check what they say in particular, because these are long comments. So give me a second. Okay, right, I'm back. Well, there was a cut there, so I guess that doesn't really mean anything to you, but it does to me, because I wasn't talking for like 20 seconds, and that's really weird. Anyway, so essentially, not Emir, that was the last person. Earthen Fist pretty much says that Mary Sue as a term is being misused, and Kyle is saying that Twilight is not a Mary Sue, generally in a similar sort of fashion. The idea being that Mary Sue as a term is how the characters affect the story, and not necessarily about the characters themselves, if that makes any sense. Read the comments if you want, but essentially, yes. You are kind of right in that sense. Twilight. Let me amend my Twilight is a Mary Sue argument by saying no, she's not a Mary Sue, but she as a character is very different to how she used to be, like as a character. Twilight being being like a perfect character. She didn't used to be that way. Back in season 1, she was the relatable one, the one who questioned everything, the one who's just like, I don't get this is silly. But now we have Starlight filling that role, which is sort of empty for the past couple of seasons, because Twilight had since very much evolved away from that character that she once was. Not necessarily that she's a Mary Sue anymore, but she is definitely a different character. And that's more what I was trying to criticize earlier. Yep. Okay. That went well. I think the comments section went well. I think that was nice. If there's more comments next time, then maybe I'll do a similar thing. If not, then I'll just go straight to fan art. With that being said, let's go to fan art. Super quick fan art time this time. You know why? Because I only got one picture, and I don't want to look up another one because this is going long enough anyway, and if I'll be here forever if I spend more time on this late Vivcast than I already am. The edge loop, ta-da! Look, he doesn't call it fan art, but I call it fan art. It's Viva and reading a book that says like a lot, and that's referring to last episode where I acknowledged how much I said like, and I am still saying like a lot, and I'm trying not to acknowledge it. Thank you for the picture. And that's it. That's fan art. Yeah. Okay. So, wait. Is that it? No. Next, I want to give you a question. A question. What question will I be doing today? The question. I definitely had good talking topics today, so I want to think up a good question, one that's very thematic. You know what? how about this? I'm gonna edit so that we wait until I think of a good question. Oh boy, this is the edited Vivcast This is first Vivcast edit Vivcast Alright, shut up. Okay, I got one. Rainbow Dash. When she was imitating all the other characters, lol or cringe? There you go. That's the poll. The question, but it's in the poll. Top right, in the top right corner. You can totally click on that and do the poll, which is of that. Yep. Okay. And with that, you can also totally comment your answer as well. I sort of flip-flopped between two different questions. It was either, did you like the episode, which is sort of generic and boring, which is why I didn't choose that one, or was the Rainbow Dash imitating everybody's scene hilarious to you as well, or will you never want to watch that scene again or something? I don't know. Whatever. So that's this episode of Vivcast. If you want to follow me on Twitch. No, not Twitch, but also follow me on Twitch if you want to watch me play video games that potentially might not be Guitar Hero in the future. That accidental plug. Also, yeah, follow me at Viva Reverie on Twitter and Tumblr, and subscribe to the YouTube channel this YouTube channel that you should be listening to this on. If you want to listen to me talk about more things and also see my animations when I actually get animations done. Yeah. And that's it. Yep. Okay. Thank you for watching. Or listen. I am so bad at this. Thank you for watching. I already said that. I've definitely said that in a previous Goodbye.